Hello Year 9, I'm recording this lesson for you to do at home while you're off today. It is a very dark and stormy night outside. The rain is lashing against the windows. The wind is moaning through the trees. I've got my candle. I've got my pumpkins. It is nearly Halloween. So what I thought we would do today is have a look at some ghost story writing. You've either just started A Christmas Carol or you'll be starting it very soon. And one of the things that you'll be looking at when you study A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens is that very strong link between ghost stories and Christmas. And there's lots of different reasons for this. One is because the Christmas day falls very close to the winter solstice, which is the day of the year where we have the shortest amount of daylight. And obviously it's a very dark time, and people in times past thought the veil between the two worlds was rather thin, and perhaps things could pass between two different worlds. So there's always been this really strong link with ghost stories and Christmas. And we are going to be looking at a fairly recently written short story by a writer called Jeanette Winterson, thinking about how she has used particular effects in a section of her story. And then you're going to have a go at writing the rest of that story. If you're able to print the story, then there is a link on ClassCharts that you can use to print that off. It'd be great if you could have a paper copy to annotate. Otherwise, the story will appear on the PowerPoint later on, and you can make some notes on paper. So just make sure you have got either pen and paper, or you've got a Word document ready to work with. So Jeanette Winterson's short story is called A Dark Christmas, and it's narrated by a woman who has gone away to spend Christmas with some friends in a rented house, a remote rural location on the cliffs by the sea. She's arrived there first, and the weather's pretty bad, the snow's coming down, and none of her friends are there. And she's got no reception on her phone. She drives to the station and she's told there isn't another train. They're supposed to be coming by train. There isn't another train until the next morning. So she thinks, well, I'll just spend the first night on my own in this dark and scary house. And so the section that we're going to read is all about the things that happen on her first night there. So we are going to have a think about the techniques that she uses, including things like her language choices, use of language devices, really effective sentence variety, and paragraphing for effect. So let's have a read of the story. So as I'm reading, in particular, pay attention to the bits that I've highlighted in bold and start thinking about why I've chosen those as being the most effective parts of the story. I drove past the station, following the steep hill, hoping some height would connect me to the rest of the world. At the top of the hill, I stopped the car and got out, pulling up my collar of my coat. The first snow hit my face with insect insistence, sharp and spiteful, like little bites. When I arrived back, it was nearly dark. I put on the lights, blew the fire into a blaze. The snow was thickening in the windy swirls. Relax, have a whiskey. I leaned on the warm kitchen range with my whiskey in my hand. The wooden figures I'd brought down from the attic were lying on the table. I should go up and get the rest of the nativity set. I don't want to. I bounded up the first set of stairs, using energy to force out unease. At my bedroom, I put on the light. That felt better. The second set of stairs stood in shadow at the end of a long landing. I felt the constriction in my lungs again. Why am I holding onto the handrail like an old man? I could see that the only light into the attic was at the top of the stairs. I found the round brown light switch. I flicked it down. A single bulb lit up reluctantly. The room was straight ahead. The door was closed. Hadn't I left it open? I turned the handle and stood in the doorway, the room dimly lit by the light from the stairs. Washstand, nativity, clothes rail. On the clothes rail was a child's dress. I hadn't noticed that before. I suppose I'd been in a hurry. Pushing aside my misgivings, I went in purposefully and bent down to pick up the wooden nativity. It was heavy, and I'd just got it secure in my arms when the light on the landing went out. Hello? Who's there? I stood for a minute, steadying my nerves. Then I shuffled forward towards the edge of the light coming from downstairs. At the doorway, I heard a step behind me. I lost my balance and put out a hand to steady myself. My hand gripped on something wet. The clothes rail. Must be the dress. My heart was overbeating. Don't panic. Bad wiring, strange house, darkness, aloneness. But you're not alone, are you? Back in the kitchen with whiskey, Radio 4 and pasta boiling, I examined the dress. It was for a small child and it was hand-knitted. The wool was smelly and sopping. I washed it out and left it hanging over the sink to drip. I guess it must have been a hole in the roof and the dress has been soaking up the rain for a long time. I ate my supper, tried to read, told myself that it had been nothing at all. Outside, snow had fallen, snow on snow. The sky had cleared. The moon sped above the sea. I'd gone to bed and I was deep asleep when I heard it clearly. So if you were able to print the story out, you can do some annotation now. Have a look at the bits that I've highlighted in bold and see if you can start identifying the sort of devices that Jeanette Winterson uses. Don't restrict yourself to what's in bold. Those are the features that I thought were interesting. I'm sure there's plenty of things that you will find interesting as well. So see if you can begin to identify and explain the effect, just in note form in your annotation, some of those devices that she uses. And hopefully you will have noticed that some of the devices that she uses are here on the screen. So especially in ghost stories, weather is always a really crucial factor, isn't it? It creates the atmosphere. We need to understand that it's dark and that the weather's really sinister. So we've got a lovely description of the snow first of all, as if it's attacking her. So you've got that element of almost personification there as well, or metaphor. She talks about it like insect insistence, sharp, spiteful, like little bites, as if, it's attacking her. That lovely sibilance as well, the sharp, spiteful, full of emotive language. We've got the inner voice, which I think is really good. The relax, have whiskey, as if she's trying to calm herself down, and talk herself into feeling a little bit more secure. And that lovely bit where she says, I should go up to the attic. I don't want to. And you're hearing this sort of inner voice inside her real secret thoughts and feelings. She won't admit to herself that she's scared, but it's coming through in the narrative. That's really good. Classic device in ghost stories as well, even if somebody's on their own, and in ghost stories you usually have a figure on their own, don't you? Somebody kind of away from everybody else who's experiencing something really frightening. That use of dialogue, talking to yourself when you're scared, or talking to somebody else who you think might be there. So when she says, hello, who's there? And you've got that use of questions as well, and questions pop up a couple of times. So you've got it in the dialogue there. When she goes to the door to the attic, hadn't I left it open? That doubt, that anxiety. And then again, the combination of the questions with the inner voice, but you're not alone, are you? That's really effective. That's brilliant, isn't it? You've got some juxtaposition as well. There's the bit where she, just trying to find it, is going up the stairs, and at first everything's okay, or she's trying to convince herself, that's it. At my bedroom, I put the light on, that felt better, but then she goes up the second flight of stairs, and then it's like something tightening and constricting her lungs, and she's asking herself, why am I holding onto the handrail, gripping it like an old man? So another use of question there to show that confusion, that doubt, anxiety. It's great. Lots and lots of triplets. Triplets are really effective here. So we have washstand, nativity, clothes rail, as if she's very quickly checking the room, scanning the room, seeing what she can see. And often we get a series of short sentences in a triplet as well. I flicked it down. A single bulb lit up reluctantly. The room was straight ahead. So you have that sort of triplet happening there. And short sentences, are all the way through, especially the combination of short sentences in short paragraphs. My heart was overbeating. Don't panic. Bad wiring. Strange house. darkness, aloneness. And what's really interesting there is that the sentences get shorter and shorter. The first one is 1, 2, 3, 4 words, and it goes down to 2, and then you've got those single word sentences, and it's sort of that kind of tension building. It's wonderful stuff. And sometimes, you know, the paragraphs, especially when we have the inner voice paragraphs, they're very short, aren't they? But you're not alone, are you? I don't want to. So those are some devices that you can use, because what you're going to do is you're going to decide what she hears. That final sentence is, I had gone to bed and I was deep asleep when I heard it clearly. So you've got to decide what she hears, where the sound is coming from, and how she reacts to it. You know, she might just lay in bed under the duvet, you know, wishing it would go away, or she might get up and go and investigate. But it's just that next section of the story. Don't attempt to finish the story off, but you're going to write a short section that's really beautifully crafted, and use these devices as a checklist. See if you can make your writing sound as if Jeanette Winterson's written it. Try and imitate that style. There are clues in the text you might want to pick up. So the idea about the child, you might want to follow that one through, or perhaps it's a completely different sound. It's totally up to you. But try and create that lovely atmosphere for a ghost story as we approach Halloween. Good luck with that. And when you finish the work, whether it's handwritten or typed, could you please submit it to your class teacher on Class Charts for some feedback. Lovely stuff. Hope you enjoy yourself. Bye-bye.